I'm happy to be here tonight again to introduce Dylon. At the end of his novel, Chasing the Sun, Dylon's protagonist, Ben, is parked in a baseball field in lawn chairs with his two best friends, Vince and Tommy. They're watching the sunset on their high school days, or as it were, the haze of high school. And as readers, we're not sure Ben will ever leave this place of nostalgia and paralysis. It's like watching 18-year-olds practicing to be 15-year-olds. And there's something tragic comic about the scene that I just love. But Dylon isn't Ben. He's a talented writer who is definitely going places. Dylon's writing often veers toward the satirical and aims to find humor in the absurd. And his thesis is filled with humorous moments, especially between those three friends. It was frankly often hard not to recognize myself in those moments of comical and ridiculous banter among teenage boys. And this is one of Dylon's great talents as a writer, creating those mirrors on the page that allow you to see yourself in others, to put yourself into a scene and relive it with the characters. As he chronicles the ups and downs of Ben's life, Dylon is also grappling with those uniquely powerful emotions of young love and the search for identity and purpose. Ben is a baseball player who doesn't like team sports, a part-time philosopher and writer who just does okay in school. He's a loner of sorts who lives with his widower father and pines for the love of his life, and perhaps for a way out of the patterns he's fallen into. As someone who has had to teach himself how to write and use dialogue in a story and still fails at it much of the time, it's humbling for me to see the ease with which Dylon is able to write dialogue and capture characters so fully. You feel as if you're a fly on the wall, listening to his characters talk and interact. He puts you in that space of humanity, imagination, and wonder. His empathy for his characters is palpable, and this invites you into their world until, before you know it, you're lost along with Ben, cheering for him as you watch him stumble through the haze. I only started working with Dylon this past year after he took my form in theory and nonfiction class, where he was part of an incredible group of students who tackled challenging texts and workloads, supported each other, and taught me a lot about teaching. Dylon is bright, talented, hardworking, and kind. It has been a true joy to get to know him better and to work with him on this book. When he's not watching mixed martial arts fights, Dylon can be found playing chess an obscene amount of time. His essays and stories have been published in Symmetry and will soon appear elsewhere, I'm sure. Please join me in welcoming the writer, Dylon Romo.
Thank you so much, Stephen. It's not going to get better than that. I'm going to set myself a timer because if I don't, I'm just going to fly through this. So, yeah. After listening to those two just absolutely fantastic essays, I thoroughly regret not going first. Yeah, here we are. I'm sort of a minimalist by nature, so I'll keep my not introduction, my gratitude, my thanks short. But that does not mean that it doesn't come from the bottom of my heart. So first and foremost, thank you everyone for being here. I'm glad that you're all part of this evening. This is my first reading, so if ever throughout the reading I throw up, now you all know why. I would also like to thank my parents for their endless support, my wonderful girlfriend, and my classmates for their amazing advice during workshop. And lastly, for my thesis committee, Stephen Church, Benita Blackburn, and Ernie Reyes. As Stephen mentioned, I'll be reading from my novel Chasing the Sun, which is about Ben, not the Ben we have tonight, but an imaginary Ben. Now, Ben is a junior in high school. The story is a sort of coming of age tale, a bildungsroman, if you will. Ben wants to be a writer, but he has an issue in that he doesn't know what to write about. Luckily for Ben, he's just had his heart broken for the very first time, and he's lost, and he doesn't know what to do. So one day he decides to ditch class and go to the beach with his friends. So that's where we are. They were headed southbound, each in need. They were headed southbound, each chewing cracked pepper seeds and drinking Red Bulls. Without Maya to report to, Ben was free to ditch class and head to the beach with Vince and Tommy. It was a Monday. Nothing important happens on a Monday. The passenger's musical responsibilities didn't apply in Vince's Subi. He assumed both roles. They listened to Silverstein the whole way there, and he turned up the volume whenever Tommy talked too much. Did you tell your girl you're not going to class? Tommy asked. She's not my girl, Ben said, punching the back of the headrest. Yeah, I heard she's talking to some guy. Who? Who knows? This is my favorite part, Ben said, bobbing his head, fiddling with the knob. Who's this guy, I mean, Ben said, shaking his head as a denial of such flagrant information. They were an hour away when Tommy started talking about Susanna, the girl from the party, but Ben wasn't paying attention. He was too busy checking his phone and thinking about pouty lips and long legs. He made it a point in not texting her. Maybe then she'd realize how much she missed him and what a huge mistake she'd made. Having parked not 2 minutes from the shore, along one of the streets with overpriced hotels, they slipped on hoodies and zipped up jackets. The sky was overcast and a subtle breeze whistled in between the buildings. As he stretched his legs, Ben thought he saw Maya, exiting a smoke shop and then entering a bar, this time in a different outfit and with longer, curlier hair. He loathed these doppelgangers. A knot of panic seized his belly each time he spotted one. An unsavory scent wafted from the sewer drains, and not a single parking spot was empty. Everyone and their mother was there. Didn't they have work or school? What was the point of ditching if it meant being surrounded by others? Tommy voted for clam chowder at Splash, but Vince insisted he knew of a better spot. They walked a block away to the Hoagie's building, slabbed in turquoise. A line meandered out the door. Vince grabbed a few menus from the basket at the entrance. What's good here? Tommy asked. Everything. It's not better than Splash. Guess we'll see, bitch. Tommy dared to try the chowder, just to prove Vince wrong. It didn't matter if he did in fact enjoy it more. He would say it was terrible, even if he finished the whole bowl. During the 10-minute wait outside, more clones had passed by. At some point, Ben was sure they were all Maya in disguise, watching his every move. Maybe that was why he tried flirting with the employee at the register, who had blonde hair and curves and red lips. On the surface, she was everything Maya wasn't, and she smiled while he ordered, made recommendations, and Ben smiled back. When handing over his change, she dropped the 37 cents outside of his palm, and the two shared something of a laugh. She slid him over the table stand, and that was the end of the encounter. Ben placed the stand on the edge of the table and walked over to the soda fountain. While overflowing his cup of Sprite, he couldn't help stealing glances at the register. He sat down, wiping his hand on his jeans, still waiting for his pocket to vibrate. Over the hum of Slightly Stupid, Ben stared at the posters of Marley plastered all over the walls, along with the shelves and the ukuleles. From any seat in the house, you could see the kitchen and hear the steam of meat whistling on the grills. The whole place smelled like fryers and oils. When another employee brought out the food, Ben sensed a pattern in the hiring process. The food reels you in, and the girls bring you back. It was like Hooters, but reggae. Instead of owls, the workers wore dreads and nose rings. While Tommy pretended to hate his meal, Ben considered talking to that girl. And why not? He was single. But he never stood up. He just watched the lacrosse game on the TV and said nothing. With full bellies, they walked over to the shops. Ben was there looking at various ponchos and beach balls and umbrellas, but not really. He was lost somewhere in the haze of the beachfront. He kept tapping his pocket. Was she texting him? Is there another him? Thoughts of this potential other man kept cutting a line of other thoughts. After entering the third shop and realizing that it was all the same merchandise, they walked out onto the pier. Ben had been to the ocean before, quite a few times even, but it never hit him quite as hard as it did then, the vastness of it all. The waves just went on and on and on. His mind couldn't conceive of the distance. When he was a child, the beach was a destination for fun, for sandcastles, for getting a tan. This time it left him uneasy. This was partly because of the pier's age. The blackened wood was knotted and splintering, and others walked across it with no regard for the possibilities. Was Ben the only one questioning its integrity? What if it fell? What if this whole thing fell into the sea right now and it washed them away? It could do so without a second breath, and they would be drowning in answerless misery. These thoughts really took hold at the far end. What a ridiculous idea, volunteering oneself to travesty. And why? What more is there to see? It's the same view as that from the shore. And those incessant eagles cawing and yakking and screaming overhead. Ben wished they would just leave him alone, but there they remained all day. He wanted to shoot them down or throw an ice cream cone their way, whatever it took to silence the noise. At the shore, families and couples all lay there among the sands, everyone bundled up, bearing witness to the inexplicable force before them, trying to rationalize its size. You late for something? Tommy asked, after Ben checked his phone for the 15th time. Just checking the time. Every 2 minutes? Fuck off, Ben said. Why do you keep talking to her? Our classes are close to each other. We don't go to Stanford. Do you carpool too? I always did it when we were together. I don't know. I don't want her to hate me. I hate you, Tommy said. Good. Do you hate her? Vince asked. Ben didn't think he was capable. There was a power in hatred. It's whatever, he said. Obviously, I want things to work out, so if that helps, then hey. Let her find her own way, Tommy said. Vince urged them to move forward, try to escape the earshot of the families. It was true that Ben would sacrifice his pride time and time again if it meant reconciliation. That's what it came down to. If she liked him once, then she could like him again. And if she could like him again, then he could get her back. It was these simple syllogistic thought patterns that got him through in that time of duress. It was around 9 when Tommy went to the gas station. On the beach, Ben watched Vince stoke a fire in a pit used earlier in the day. Tommy was to pick up matches and fire starter. 20 minutes later, they heard the clinking of glass, like a tremor in an antique store, and Tommy's panting. He rushed over, breathless, in a frenzy. Ben asked if he'd robbed the place. No, bitch, I bought it like a respectable citizen. Were you scared? Please, he said, trying to calm his breathing. Didn't even faze me. This guy's never asked for ID. He said, take it easy. I was like, you too, chief. I just want to get the fuck out of there, you know? Tommy took a seat, thus completing the circle. He ripped off a cardboard handle and extended a bottle to Vince. Drink up. Driving, Vince said. Yeah, I still have nightmares from that party, Ben said. You guys are gonna make me drink a 12-pack on my own? I mean, I'll do it, but... Tired of sulking in the sand, Ben eyed his box and longed to return home. The waves were crashing behind him. It was pitch black, and the wind came from all directions. Only the moonlight offered a sense of direction. He took off his shoes and buried his feet in the sand, hoping to warm them. The grains were chilling, but somehow refreshing. He looked out at the black waves and wanted to dip his feet in the water, just to see what it felt like. I'm hurt, Tommy said. I'm out here with my best friends, and they make me drink alone. I'll cry. I'll do it. All right, Ben said. Give me one. You're gonna hate it, Ben said. I knew you were cooler than Vinny. Tommy handed Ben a beer, the bottle sweating in his hands. When Ben had asked how to open it, Tommy snatched the bottle, jammed it between his teeth, twisted, pulled, and off it came. He handed it back to Ben. Dude, I don't want your spit all over it. You see an opener lying around? Drink up. Tommy tapped the top of Ben's bottle so fiercely that foam shot out, forcing a quick swig. How do you drink this shit? Vince laughed. I told you. What? You thought that after one time it was gonna taste good? It's terrible, but with enough you get a buzz, and with more you get drunk. How do you know when one becomes the other? Tommy paused. I don't know. I guess you gotta get drunk enough to the point where there's no way you're just buzzed. Like, a buzz is just the beginning. Loosens you up. Drunk is like, fuck fuck, dude, there's no denying it. It took Ben 5 minutes to choke down the rest of the 805, and then Tommy handed him another. Ben drank it, and it was somehow worse. At one point, he considered washing out the taste with ocean water. Then he had another. After the third, his bladder called. He stood up and realized that his balance had once again escaped him. He didn't fall, but he was sort of staggering to the left a little bit. His head felt untethered. The feeling wasn't much like the last time. It left a slight protective film over his skin. When he returned, Ben grabbed another to see where it would take him. By the end of the fourth, he started giggling and stood up to finally feel those waves. Vince said it was a bad idea, but Ben, who was no stranger to bad ideas, didn't care. He wobbled over to the shore and let the water soak his feet and the mist spray his knees. For some reason, he was numb to the cold. The water, in all its immensity, could no longer faze him. A wave's gonna pull you in, you fuck. I'll get a boat, Ben said. Get a yacht. An ark, Vince suggested. Imagine having a yacht. Tommy asked Vince, their voices lower now. Dude, I can't even spell yacht. You know, Ben said, walking back to them, know his story? He stole that shit. They jacked it from Gilgamesh. Can you believe that shit? Just stole it. Wasn't even his story. Just pawned it off as his own. Ben grabbed a fifth beer and voiced a concern he held for quite some time. Maya, she doesn't believe in God. What do you mean? What? She's an atheist. Not exactly a new concept. Well, you guys aren't together. I know, but when we were, she told me, and it scared me because it didn't bother me. Like, as long as I could be with her, it was fine, you know? How far will those feelings take me? What else might I give up for her, my salvation aside? By then, he could hardly even taste the beers. They went down like water. Vince finally got the fire going with the empty cardboard. When Tommy said he was going to hell for burning it, Vince said, I know it sucks. I hate not talking to Sam. It's been what, a month? I think about her nonstop, but it had to be done. Ben envied Vince's composure, his clear head. He couldn't stop talking to Maya, even if it was for the best. Yes, he was making sense, but how would good sense get Maya back? Plus, he added, what if she is talking to some other guy now? Then what are you gonna do? Ben burped, his stomach now bloated, his esophagus full of air that would only relieve itself in heavy belches. It felt like someone was tickling his cheeks with a feather. He looked out at the expanse of sea, saw almost nothing but wave crests glimmering in the moonlight. There was no separation between ocean and sky, only the seamless transition of one into the other. Way above, the stars speckled with an intense fervor, a kind that wasn't available back home. He wondered whether there was a purpose to the waves, or if they were random energy and nothing more. In this state, Ben couldn't feel the fire on his logs, the heat on his face. He started giggling, but he didn't know why. It was also strange, the flames dancing, the twigs popping, a siren wailed off in the distance. No sounds yet, but the sound was unmistakable. A slew of empty bottles lay spread out before them, fusing in the sand and darkness. They left immediately, the evidence still scrawled about. Over time, those bottles would shatter and crumble until all that remains is sand again. Then it'll be like they were never there at all. Thank you.